going to talk about a subject that a lot of people, you're welcome, sweetheart, are sometimes not so comfortable in talking about. And there's so much energy and so much heaviness surrounding the topic of money. Somehow the people who do healing work like me and spiritual work, for some reason it's almost sinful to talk about money in some areas, and we have made it that way, right? We've made it so difficult to talk and to receive money. And for me, it has been a very interesting journey because I have been very, very extremely blessed to have a set of parents that have never worried about money. They never have. I mean, and if they have, they never let it on. And it was never a topic of conversation in my household. When I grew up, my parents had no money, zero money. My dad had been orphaned. His mom died when he was 11. My mom's dad died when she was 17. My dad's been working since he's 12 or 13. He's been literally on the street. He left his home. His father remarried this woman that was not very nice to him. And he left. He left that household and that living situation. And he lived with an aunt here and an aunt there. And he was on his own basically since he was 13. Now, he started a company when I was just born. And for a while, they didn't know if it was going to succeed. Well, so far, my dad's been in business for over 50, almost 60 years now. And, well, I'm not that old, but like 50 years, over 50 years. And he always loved what he did. He always loved his business. We didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up at the beginning. But we had so many perks. We had, my dad worked, everything that he did was related to travel and tourism. So we got to go to amazing places, and we had a lifestyle that was a lot richer than the actual amount of money that we had. So I've always been used to having all these perks and all these things without having to have the cash necessarily to have that. Now, my mom always thought education was so important, and she sent me to the best school. She sent my brother and myself to the best school. And my mom didn't buy underwear for, I knew underwear for like a year at least, because all of their money was going to our education. My dad always told me when I was growing up that he wasn't going to be the richest man in the graveyard, and that everything he had, he was going to enjoy it with us. So we did a lot of traveling. We did really enjoy our life with the family. And I had a wonderful life growing up. So I never worried about money, and I always had it. I started working when I was 12. I was a reservations agent for Hyatt International. When I was 12 years old, I was rated the top salesperson. And there was a hotel in Acapulco that I had to send the reservations each night, and nobody wanted to do this job, right? Because it was doing the telex machine. The fax didn't even exist. There was no real computer per se, so we had to manually input like a typewriter all the reservations, and this yellow strip with little holes would come out, and then you had to run the strip like telegraph, and you would run the strip and the information would go through. And I remember one time they were going to have a sales meeting in Acapulco, of all places, right? And all the people in Acapulco wanted me to go, and they were telling my boss that you have to bring Hannah. Hannah has to come. Is Hannah coming? Is she coming? Is she coming? And he wouldn't say anything because he was like, how am I going to explain to these people that this is a 12-year-old that's beating everybody in sales, in productivity and everything. So finally, one day he had to when the meeting came up, he just showed up. It's like, no, she really couldn't come. It's like, why? Because she's 12. So everybody was elated and depressed at the same time. But anyway, so I had a very lovely, lovely life. Then, then I got married, and I married this guy that was genius, right? I love his creativity. His brain was just like magnificent, but he didn't know how to keep money. He would make money, but he would never know how to keep it. And then I spent my entire life like concerned with the money. I started being concerned about money at that point. But he had this ability of making so much money that when we were making a lot, it didn't really matter. But we were going through periods of feast and famine. I don't know if you've ever gone through that, right? That you all of a sudden you have money, all of a sudden you don't have it. And because we weren't in sync mentally in terms of the financial situation, we were never able, like I would try to hold on to the money, but he would immediately spend it. So it was almost like a competition. So that's when my views about money started coming in, and I started actually getting concerned and thinking about money and what to do with it, what not to do with it, how to keep it, how to try to keep my family afloat when I knew that these waves of feast and famine were coming and going. So when I got divorced, that was when my whole thing with money got totally messed up. My whole ideas about money, about how to get it, I was left literally with nothing. I was living in $1 million home with barely any furniture. It looked like somebody had come in and vandalized my house because it was just crazy. I didn't have money to pay the heating bill. I couldn't heat up on, a big 3,000 square foot home and pay the bill in New York. And so I remember spending lots of days and nights wrapped with comforters and hot water bottles with my 2 dogs, right? Marmalade went through this, so God bless her soul. And Whitby, my other schnauzie, that died exactly a year before Marmalade on the day. Go figure. Anyway, I would spend a lot of time like wrapped in blankets and hot water bottles, and I started knowing what it was to really not have anything. Like I would, if I had made any money, earned any money doing voiceovers, which I started slowly getting back to work, I would literally go to the till to the register at the supermarket, and I would cry tears of joy that I actually had money to pay for food for my daughter. And money started becoming a really important thing in my life. And what happened was, the more I thought about it, the harder it was for me to have it. And the more I thought about it, and the more I worked for it, and the more I wanted it so I could give my daughter a good life, all that mattered to me in my life was being able to give my daughter a fantastic life. That's all I cared about. But the focus was on the money, because I felt like because I didn't have it anymore, right? So the lack started invading my consciousness, and it was a pervasive thing in my life where it was like, no money, no money, no money. How am I gonna get them? No money, no money, no money. So what do you think happened? The more I thought I have no money, the more the universe gifted me with no money. Because that's what the universe does, right? It gifts you with whatever you put out there, the vibration. Finally, I don't know when it dawned on me. I mean, the first thing that started turning around my financial situation was tithing, believe it or not. I started giving away 10% of what I earned. Now, the first time I tithed, it was kind of hard. I was so scared, I started tithing with 5%. De nada barbarita. And I started with 5%, but it was terrifying, right? If you have, you have to pay bills and things that amount to like $200 or at least $150, and then you get $100, And then you think you have to give away 10 out of that 100 and end up with 90. Well, you think you're gonna dig yourself deeper into the hole, and how are you gonna come up with the rest of the money, right? So it was so difficult. So I started with 5% because I thought I gotta ease into this a little bit more gently, because I don't think my heart can take it. And a miracle happened. When I started giving away the money, I started doing two things. One, I started feeling that I had enough and more than enough to share. And most importantly, I started telling the universe, I have more than enough to share. And guess what the universe started to do? Same thing as when I did no money. It started saying, oh, so here's some money. So you can always have more than enough, right? Isn't that amazing? And then I discovered, then I went up to the 10%. And the first time I made, like I got $1,000 check for some client. And I paid $100 to Unity. I was writing the check. I remember my daughter Noelle was there with me. My hand was freaking shaking. I had my daughter sitting next to me and we were barely making it, and she was watching me write out $100 check to the church when she knew we couldn't get stuff for ourselves. There were things that we couldn't have. And I can imagine what she must have thought. She must have thought I was the most irresponsible human being on the planet. And I felt a little like that. I'm like, how dare I give to the church? And it was Unity, not religion, not the same kind of religion. It was metaphysical. How could I give away $100 and end up with 900? Then it was magical. That $900 expanded. I don't know how or what or how this happens, but it does. The $900 expanded, and somehow I was able not only to pay all my bills that month, but I was able to have a little bit left over for myself and for my daughter, so I could share with her and I could give her something, you know, get her clothes, whatever. I don't remember what I did with that, but I remember the feeling and the knowing that, oh my God, this freaking works. So after that, it just became second nature. I know some days it was kind of hard because I just would look at what the money that had to go out and the money that was coming in, and it's freaking out, and it's scary. And then I learned about paying myself first. I wasn't doing that. I was never taught how to pay myself first. And that was an amazing lesson that I want to share with you. So if you've never heard of paying yourself first, if you're a financier, I'm sure you do it all the time, but some of us never get taught this. When we get paid for our services, for some job well done, if we take 10% of that money and pay ourselves before we pay anybody else, then we are not only creating what T. Harv Eker calls the golden goose, but we are honoring our being, ourselves. We are telling ourselves, good job. You earned this. Job well done. And then money miraculously, energetically starts to grow. When we use all of our money, all of our income to pay bills, you're earning the money to pay our bills, guess what's gonna show up? Well, yeah, more bills to pay, right? We're using all our money to pay our bills, so it's like, I don't know if you've experienced money coming in this way and flowing right at the back door. You know, you get it in from one hand, and then you're writing a check out from the other hand, and it's an ending loop, or a never-ending loop, I'd rather say. a never-ending loop of coming in, and you're just there like a spectator. You watch your money come in, and then you watch it go out, and it's like the money merry-go-round. The only way to stop it is by honoring yourself. So you take that 10%. Now we're at 20%, right? So here we are. Now we're going to start paying ourselves, which should be before tithing. You should be paying yourself first. I didn't learn it in that order. But so now I was up to, oh, rats. Now I'm going to live with 80%. Holy cow. I don't know if I can do this. So the only thing that kept me going was that, okay, I'm saving it, but if I have an emergency, at least I know it's there and I can always go into that amount. If it doesn't work, I always have that. It's not like the tithing money that is gone. Once you write that check, it's out. This one you have. And what I did is I learned from this woman many years ago to open different accounts. So at my bank, they think I'm crazy because I have different accounts. Like my money comes in to one account, and I will never pay a bill out of that account. Why? Because I don't want that account to think that it's for paying bills. I want that account to think that it's for income and it's growing, and I like the money coming in. Then I have an account where I pay all my bills out of. And I only transfer, I have a cushion there just so that I don't overdraft ever, and the accounts are also linked. However, I only transfer the exact amount of money that I need to pay my bills into that account. So I just pay my bills from there, and somehow you start giving the signals to the universe that's like, yeah, baby, all my money is not for paying bills. I want to do a lot more than just pay bills. What I do, because I'm an independent, an entrepreneur, right? An independent contractor, usually it's called here in the States. What I do is I'm responsible for my taxes. I'm responsible for everything. So what I've come up with is that let's say every $100 that come in, 10 goes for tithing, 10 goes to pay myself first, 10 goes to tithing, and another one, 30%, I put away for my taxes. So I take 30% off the top, and then whatever's left, I get 10 for me, 10 for tithing, and then I live with the rest. So it has changed my life. It has changed my reality. I've been able to create. I never really had any debt, and I don't have a mentality of getting into debt with the credit cards and everything. I've never really, I felt like if I don't have it or if I can't create it, I will never buy something and then dig myself into a hole. But through this way of dealing with things, I've been able to pay for a bunch of my courses. I've done courses up the wazoo. Like I spent most of my money goes to learning. I'd rather go on a fast or do like protein shakes for a while and think that I'm detoxing. My friend Bonnie taught me that. It's like I convinced myself that I'm doing a fast or that I'm doing a detox, and then you go on that way and you keep, just eating whatever is available, because I would rather get the education than get spend all my money on food or clothes or something like that, right? But then what happens is amazing. You start honoring yourself. Then you start honoring the money. So then the money starts wanting to hang out with you. So you start getting more money. And then it becomes fun, because not only are you having more than enough, and Access always says this thing is like to confuse the brain. Never enough money, but always too much to spend. Never enough, but always too much. Never enough, but always too much. Never enough, but always too much to spend. And when that happens, then you are able to start helping others. But here's the thing. One day I realized that I was having the whole approach wrong. I realized that the minute I made money the most important thing, that was the day that the money started running away from me. It would come, but it would trickle in, and it wasn't comfortable. I wasn't in a happy, comfortable space. And I realized, well, you know what? Let me just wait, stop for a second, and think. Just think for a moment. Why is this? And it became very clear that what happened was that I never used to think about money. I didn't give all my energy, all my waking hours to money and how to pursue it or how to get it. My dad always taught me, do what you love and the money will follow. And I have been so blessed because I have always done what I've loved. As a matter of fact, about that first job I was telling you about when I was reservations agent, I used to do this in the summer. And the second year I did this, the boss's executive assistant hated me because I was getting all the attention from everybody because I was very good at what I did and because I was only at that point 13. And she just didn't like me and made my life hell and started giving me these jobs to do that I hated, and it was just like very secretarial instead of me doing the reservations. And people would come into the store. It was a storefront, and people would come in. Like the offices for Hyatt International were in the building above, but at the ground floor they had a reservations area, and that's where I would sit. And people would come in and see this child, and they would all want to come make a reservation with me because they thought it was so endearing and so cute that a 12-year-old was there making reservations for their hotel. Somehow, I don't know why they trusted me. Because if I walk in there and see a 12-year-old, I don't know. I'm going to be sure that they're going to do the right thing. But anyway, they would come in and they would ask for me. And there were repeat customers that would come and ask for me. And it just, that second year was so terrible for me. I did not enjoy myself. And I remember the last day before I went back to school that year, I told my dad, I said, well, you know what, Dad? I really do not know what I want to do with my life or who I want to become or what I want to do. I said, but I am so sure of what I don't. And I do not want to ever be a secretary. And then my dad died laughing. And he said, well, that's good. It's good to know what you don't want, right? So after that, I decided that I would never do something that I hated to do. And because it was such a clear decision to the universe, I have been blessed with never having to do stuff that I hate. I mean, a few times I've done jobs that I've chosen to go into because I needed to get the energy coming and the money flowing this way. Like when I was at this point in my marriage where in this famine time, I chose to go work at Crate and Barrel. And I was selling stuff at Crate and Barrel. And it still brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it. Because I would drive from my $1 million home that nobody knew I was living in. And I would cry the entire way there. And I would dry my tears at the parking lot. And I would put the biggest smile I could muster. And then I would walk in and be the best darn salesperson in the whole store. And everybody loved me, but I hated it. Then after that, I was blessed. I was invited to become, I applied for a marketing position at Prescriptives Makeup. Used to be, it doesn't exist anymore, but a wonderful natural makeup line. And they invited me, instead of being a marketing person or the marketing director, perhaps, to be a makeup artist. And I had no idea how to be a makeup artist, but I knew how to apply my makeup. So I went, I did the test, I passed. And I became a makeup artist. And at that time, I doubled my salary, or more than doubled it, from what I was earning at Crate and Barrel, so I left that. And when I was working there, I didn't really love it either, because I was supposed to be, you know, the marketing director, and here I am applying makeup at Lord & Taylor. And instead of crying all the way there, I discovered the Rosary, or the Rosary discovered me. And it turns out that however long it took me to drive from my house to the store, to the parking lot every morning, I had enough time to pray the entire rosary for that day. So I would pray the rosary all the way on my way there and give thanks for what I had. Soon after that, my life started to change, and then I got divorced. Everything went just crazy. But it's like I went full circle, because now I do voiceovers and acting for a living. That's what helps me pay my bills. That's what helped me have the life that I have now. And now I direct commercials. I direct the voice for commercials in Spanish, and I absolutely love what I do. I'm really good at it, and I really love it. And I get paid very well for it. But I'm not ever thinking of, well, how much are they going to pay me? I mean, I set a rate and then they pay me, but I'm not, the money's not what drives me. What drives me is giving the client the best thing ever, the best product ever, bringing the best out of the talent, or bringing my best into the job so that the engineer has to do the least amount of work possible, with me making the least amount of mistakes and giving the best product as quickly as I can, right? So anyway, the whole point of this conversation is that when you realize that the money is energy, and when we're chasing after it, it's almost like, have you ever had someone going after you, like a boyfriend wanting to be with you, and just like you feel like they're even sticky, and you're like, ooh, ew, don't chase me like that, right? If you give me some space, give me some room, then I will be able to grow and to want to be with you some more. So if we do that for the money, then the money will come to you. It will be wanting to be here, and it'll, when you circulate it, when you use your money, it'll just go and come back with friends. And I heard this Reverend Ike. If you haven't heard him, go on YouTube and find him, Reverend Ike. He is so funny, metaphysical teacher, amazing. He circulates money. And he says, you never pay, you never spend your money. If you spend it, it's like saying horrible things about the money. You circulate it. And he says, do it like that. You circulate your money. And circulating is returning to the point of origin. So you're sending your money out, and then tell them to bring friends, right? Bring friends for the party. Then when you have the money, you can use it. Money doesn't make you a bad person or a good person. You are who you are. Money just helps you be more of what you already are. So if you're an awesome person and you're helping people now, you're just going to have more money to help more people. If you're a mean son of a gun, then it's just going to expand who you are, right? I know a few people that fit the bill. But if you're meaning to do good in the world, we need the money. We need the money to help others. All right? So if you're thinking that you're not deserving and you don't need, whatever it is, you're not good enough, or you're not worthy, that word, right? We're all thinking, I'm not worthy. You know what? You're worth it, because you're here on this planet. You already got the winning ticket. You already won the jackpot. Okay, because there's apparently, I've been told that there are so many souls that are waiting to come into this earth. And there's a huge line of people. So we're already here. So might as well make the best of it, and might as well have the best life, and might as well have the best things in life. Because it does nobody any good if you're picking the coach seat or the bad quality thing. It's like, no, let's just all pick first class, right? So there's no, it doesn't have to be there's first class and coach. We can all travel first class. So just because you're traveling first class, it doesn't mean that somebody else is gonna go without. On the contrary, the more you have, the more you can create, and the more good you can do in the world. So today, our sound bath is going to be about receiving money as an energy, allowing it to circulate into our lives, but we're going to focus on that dream or on the good that we want to do for others, for ourselves, for our families, and the first class life that we want to have. So that will help us in getting out of the stuckness and getting out of the I don't have any money or no money, so that the universe can start giving us the money. Because if you feel, you raise your vibration to feeling abundant, to feeling generous, to being generous, right? If you need money, give money. If you need time, give of your time. If you feel like if you're one of those people that say, I never have time. Oh, I don't have time. I'm too busy. I don't have time. Start donating some of your time once a week to a church, to a read for blind people, to serve at a soup kitchen. Try some of that. You start doing that, and all of a sudden your time, just like with tithing, the money, your time will expand. The more you give of yourself, the more you give of your time, the more you give of your money, the more you are going to get. And that is a promise. And that is not my promise. That is a promise of the Creator that got us into this mess in the first place. All right? So, please, if you're sitting down, put your feet flat on the ground and wiggle your toesies so that you inhabit your body. And then you're gonna take 3 breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth with an audible ah. And when you do, you're gonna have your eyes closed, you're gonna have your back straight, right? You're gonna float it so that it's totally upright. And then you're gonna feel how good that feels in your body, because you're giving it oxygen and glucose, all the things it needs to be nourished. You're gonna pay attention to your body, and you start getting that connection with your body so that you can start listening to your intuition, to those whispers that may be really, really soft right now. But the more you tune into them, the louder they'll get. And the more you act upon them, you're gonna create you're gonna be BFFs with your intuition, trust me. All right, so breathe in. 2. And if at any time you need to breathe again, feel free to just take a deep breath. One more time. that could have been a little difficult for some of you. Slow your breathing down. Come back slowly. Wiggle your toes. Stretch. Stand up and shake it out. I hope you're feeling fantastic. I hope you have a renewed sense of purpose, and you go out there and circulate yourself, circulate your time, circulate your money, and just start enjoying every single day. And that alone will raise your vibration and will make everyone, including the money, want to come and hang out with you. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I love you all. Put it down in the comments if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, and go to hanahealing.com, Jana Healing, HEALING.com, and sign up for your free 3-part video series on how to get the best sleep of your life. Anyway, if you're having trouble sleeping, go right away and you'll get that 3-part series. And I really appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for listening. See you next Sunday for Sound Bath Sundays. Bye-bye.